do you do this? All right. I almost said best of. We're not. We're doing the worst of. Yeah. By Masabi's request, which is fine. We're doing the worst of. So, as previous years, I rate my shit on Letterbox. Was it half star to 5 star? Anything half a star, anything 1.5 star and below gets put in the worst pile. Anything 4 star and above gets put in the best pile. And then I kind of put in a little category, and then we kind of shit talk or good talk about. I don't know how to do positivity. I just realized compliment. That's it.
Compliment.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm used to backhanded compliments. Like, oh, you look great. Did it come off the road? It's a Bianca Del Rio way of doing things.
You look good today.
All right, so I just have 3 categories, but there's a bajillion piece. Not a bajillion. There's a good amount. There's 3 categories. It's horror. Remember, we're talking about worse. Action/sci-fi, and then family. Okay. Also, another thing is, the movies are obviously released this year, so even if a movie might say it's a 2023 or 2024, it's like that's usually because it's like it stayed on the shelf, or like that's when it debuted in like a festival, but then didn't like reach like, let's say, theaters or online streaming until this year. I usually put that in. So I'll go backwards. I'll start with family. We have Snow White, Minecraft, and Lilo and Stitch. Did you see any of those 3?
No.
Let's do Disney last. So the Minecraft movie, so I don't know that much about Minecraft, but what I've seen of Minecraft, this movie feels like someone who also saw like an abridged version of Minecraft and made a movie out of it. Because also, like, what it is that, like, I think later on Minecraft had story mode, but initially it's just kind of open world, and you just like build shit, and then people show up and they might want to fuck your shit up, and it's just kind of like, it's like cozy gaming, where people just like, they build a thing and then their friends are there and they're like, look at this thing. Because from when Minecraft was like, when people could literally make a living as like, I'm a Minecraft streamer type of stuff, or let's play or whatever shit, during that time, from what I saw, it was just people to like, it's like their friends in a group chat like thing, and they're all talking, and oh, you're building a thing, okay, I'm doing this, and sometimes they're like, there's a thing attacking, come over, and it's funny and it's cutesy, and they have silly conversations, and you're kind of like in on their inside jokes now type of stuff, and it's fun and cozy. I guess later, when things started getting modded and all that crazy stuff. So this one, it's like regular humans in the human world went into Minecraft world, kind of like a Jumanji type of thing, like the newer Jumanji, and so then obviously everything's just squared and like very bright, very like, Windows XP, background type of like color, what I mean? And then there's like the viral thing of chicken jockey, like that shit. Did you ever see that? Like,
maybe, I don't, there's been so much.
Apparently a lot of people would be going to the theater to go see the Minecraft movie, and literally at the part where Jack Black goes chicken jockey, people start freaking out, like, and start throwing popcorn. They're all like, "Whoa, chicken jockey!"
So it's unsexy Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah, it's kind of like theater version of when people went crazy at McDonald's for the Szechuan sauce type of shit, where they're like, it's your own meme and no one's in on it but yourself kind of stuff. I think they were supposed to have some like well-known streamers in the movie. I don't remember if I saw them or they were cut out. I don't remember, because I watched that movie, and like you're watching a movie and then like you're just like, what? And then I think my brain pushed it out, because my brain rather just like have Neil Breen and all the atrocities happening in the world in my brain rather than that movie.
And I've been trying to like up my cardio, so maybe I should just put that on so I can forget how time works.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, you 90 minutes and you're getting a workout in, yeah.
Right, so maybe I should watch that or I'll die.
So then next is Snow White, and that was really bad. That's also a 1 star. And it earns that extra half star because the girl who plays Snow White can actually sing. She was fine, you know, that haircut. I know it's traditional to the animated one. They didn't have to do that. You know what I mean? She went all No Country for Old Men type of shit, but fine. She was fine. You could tell 90% of the time she's just acting in front of a green screen of who fucking knows what because they had the CGI little people, you know? Because I think what was it like the like they were gonna hire little people and a bunch of little people actors were like there, my break. But the Peter Dinklage is like, whoa, are we just gonna play our dwarves all the time? And little people actors who aren't established as Peter Dinklage are like, bro, shut the fuck up! I want to get the Disney check, you know. So they end up with CGI little people, which is that even better? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
The more you talk about it, the more this film should not be made now. Unless
yeah.
they really want to rewrite it as a horror.
I mean, that probably exists somewhere, and
It
I'll
probably
probably.
exists.
And so there's that. So when she's singing, I'm like, oh God bless. At least you know she can sing. At least that's nice. Good for my ears. And then Gal Gadot. Apparently, to her, singing is just I'm singing. You're shouting. Mirror, mirror, mirror on the wall. Who is the fairest? Mirror, mirror. Who is?
That sounds a bit like her, so I don't think you're
That's
exactly.
I was about to say. I was like, girl, you give me the stones.
I remember seeing like Wonder Woman and being like, "Wow, I don't know who this is, but I like how she's." You know, when you see her play that character once, and you go like, "Okay, I like this film." Is she? Is there some weird things about it? Yeah, but okay, I like this film. Oh, that's just her. Oh, 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 oh. This is what she said politically. Oh,
This is where she still lives.
oh no.
Yeah. Yeah, it's they and you know with the live action ones, they'll like pop in an extra song or two, like a little different thing, maybe to hit an Oscar thing, bullshit like they did with Wicked, you know. And then there's like a song of like the evil queen singing, and she's like at the party. I don't remember how the song goes because again, if that happens, my head would explode. But I just remember her in the outfit being like, ah, like her mouth being so open. She's like, ah, and it's like that's not singing. You're just shouting. It's like the people who like do karaoke and they're like, oh, I'm gonna do Adele, thinking you're like, kind of like, you know what I mean? Instead of just being like, hello, you know, like you're like, oh, is it me? Oh shit, you know? And it's like if she's being like, hello, is it me? And you're like, I mean, there's something there, but it's not there, you know? Oh my god. Oh, sorry, I just had to fix my contrast because I realized when my hand goes over, like I realize like I'm just this, and it's just like
Oh,
my
nice.
fingers just like yeah. Sorry, I'm just
Yeah.
fixing my
No,
contrast.
no,
Yes.
that's all good.
So yeah, Gal Gadot singing, and also like they were trying to kind of like not to sound like that, but they were trying to wokeify the story too much, where it's like Snow White doesn't need a man type of thing. But like, okay, so here's the thing, right? He's a guy that she knows, right? It's very obvious he likes her, but she's just like, I wanna go in the woods. You know what I mean? And then she's like, la la la, I'm in the woods. Who are these little dudes? Oh, that's kind of weird. Oh, what was this huntsman? Anyway, you know, Apple, you know? But then he's like, I gotta go find her. I gotta find her. And then like, you know, Gal Gadot, we're not saying the evil queen. It's Gal Gadot. Gal Gadot is like, I'm gonna put you in an IDF prison. puts him in like a thing, and he's like, I need to get out, I need to go find her, and she's like, no, we're gonna torture you like we do, you know, it's Israel. And fucking, and then I forgot how he got out, and then he's like, oh my god, and he's like, mwah, kiss her, and then she wakes up, and I went, wait, what's this whole I don't need a man, but now a man comes, and I was, huh? Oh, just, you know, and then, I don't know, Gal Gadot was like, ah! I don't remember. Maybe I'm making that last part up, but like, pretty much.
I think it's I think it's a blessing that sometimes when you're mimicking Gal Gadot, your mic will cut out because you reach a certain pitch,
Because I
and
peak.
the mic's just like, no, no,
And I fucking peaked the mic. Yeah. Just
yeah,
gotta.
yeah,
But I mean, that's also what she does to her ears. You're just like, ah! Oh, I can hear. You know what I mean? You're like, fuck. Yeah. And then, so then the third one in this is Lilo and Stitch, the live action one.
I've heard of what they did.
So I had to rewatch the animated one because one, I don't think I've ever watched it in full, which, it happens. Two,
Yeah.
like you kind of like only remember certain things, especially of course like the well-known GIF that I use a lot, which is Lilo mapping that girl. You know what I mean? Um,
Yes. Yes.
which is great. And I did, and when I rewatched it, I was like, oh my god, it happens in like the first 5 minutes of the movie. I'm like, this is fucking amazing, you know. So, and the movie's great. The original animated one, it's great. Da da da. And you love Lilo. You love the family. You're like, oh my god, yes, yes. This is your pet. This is your, Oh my god, oh. And then the live action happens, and I wanted to punt Lilo into the ocean because she was so like, I don't want to do it. And it's just like, it wasn't like the cute little, like, it wasn't like, well, I think because they had at the time, I think the girl who voiced Lilo, I think she was like 11 or 12. So like she still was like, still kind of baby voice. You know what I mean? This one, they hired like an 8-year-old. You know what I mean? To play like they hired a child to play a child, so the kid's gonna be fucking annoying. You know what I mean? And it's like, and it's like supposed to be like that beginning hula thing, and then instead of like the girls being mean to her and she mapping the shit out of her, which I was waiting for, instead it was like the girls bullied her and her just being, and I'm like, bitch, you that bitch, right? First of all, there's that.
Yeah.
So first of all, there's that, and then there was this whole thing, like, okay, of course in the other one it was like, okay, there's always the social worker has to check up because it's a sister, da da da. Whereas in this one, they were like, whoever wrote this like works at a fucking like, like a state office or government office or something, because they were really about the bureaucracy of things. It felt like what they joked about Hitchhiker's Guide, where they're like, the ones who are like, oh, it just forms the forms. It was just like, what? This is a kids movie. And then it was like,
So it's like it's everything everywhere all at once stayed in the tax office, and it's just Jamie Lee Curtis telling you how you did your taxes wrong.
right,
Oh.
but yeah, and it doesn't go anywhere. I mean, it does go
Oh.
somewhere, but also like this movie's supposed to take place in Hawaii. Why does it look so like beige and gray? Like
Oh.
this isn't fucking Boston or Ohio in March kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like how is it like up the colors? Like make the ocean be ocean color. You know what I mean? It's not the Jersey Shore. What is this color of the ocean? You know what I mean? I don't know what the fuck is happening. And then it's like, there's like a love interest guy, and then in the end, like the sister ends up like leaving to go to like school type of stuff, and it was just kind of like weird because it was like they want her to go to school, but she's like, I don't want to go to school because I want to take care of Lilo, and it was like it was literally like you could have had both kind of stuff, and especially in this day and age, you probably could have done, remote school, like maybe an associate or something, and then work up to maybe in, what I mean, maybe when Lilo's a bit older, then do in-person school, or like she had all her neighbors that can watch her. Like that's another thing. She had a bunch of neighbors that could just, be babysitters because they're older and be like, hey, watch my little sister. I'm gonna go to work, or I'm gonna go back to school, or both, or something. But instead they just like leave Lilo at home, which I get, I was left at home a lot, but at the same time, if you're like under a microscope like that, you have these old ass neighbors who like treat Lilo like their own kid. Like, you know what I mean? There's a lot of like a lot of thought went into the bureaucracy of the movie, but not enough thought went into like being a caring person. You know what I mean? Like most people, what they'll do is be like, oh, hey, who in my family can watch my kid? Then maybe my friends, and then maybe find a babysitter, right? There's like the tier of that. This was just like, I'm just gonna leave the kid at home.
This sounds like it was written by a white person's perspective on family. Not to be, I'm half white, I can say this. But like everything you're describing is what I've always seen of people with a community and not someone who's just by themselves, doesn't trust anyone else for whatever reason, and is way more focused on doing it the right way, like school or not, as opposed to like being forced to find a way through a situation and having that community with you. Because from what I understand, Polynesian Hawaiian culture, it's about the people around you, like most Asian Pacific Islanders.
Right, right.
So, like, it sounds like it was a white guy who came to Hawaii and went to a luau.
Right, it's literally the thing that a lot of Hawaiians say, which is like, stop coming to Hawaii. You know?
Yeah.
On it. I forgot, I wrote a thing. I said, this is why we need healthcare. Because the healthcare thing also had to do with it, because they're like, why aren't you getting Lilo health insurance? I'm like, this girl is barely making ends meet. How is she going to afford health insurance? And then someone here said, Nani is a neglectful sister who lost Lilo to Child Protective Services just so she can go to college.
There's a couple of things for this thing that is so focused on bureaucracy.
Yeah.
One, if you're of a certain age and your family makes under a certain amount, that child does get care through Medicaid.
Right.
And I think because Hawaii is still a US state,
Yes.
that's still a thing.
Yeah.
Two, what I know this doesn't seem very important. What degree did Nani want?
And I do not remember that. I do not remember what field she was going in, but I remember it was like a thing of like, I really want to go to college, and then in my head I'm like, you're gonna have to defer that for a while, because until Lilo is at least middle school, you know what I mean, where she could go hang out with friends. Because again, if you're gonna like not look at your lovely neighbors, they're not even old. They're just kind of like, you know, like probably 50s. I don't know. They're also people of color, so they could be 75. You know what I mean?
Right.
But they're home all the time, and they see Lilo. But they also don't do the thing that people of color neighbors do, which is being like, Lilo, what the fuck are you doing? You're gonna fuck this up for your sister. Instead, they're like, Lilo, what are you doing? She's like, I don't know. Again, like you said, yeah, it's very white written. You know? Like, yeah. Yeah, so the next category is action/sci-fi. We have Electric State, Demon City, War of the Worlds, whatever the recent Jurassic World movie is called, Working Man, and Den of Thieves 2. Any of them ring a bell?
Well, I obviously heard of the Jurassic World one. My brain died. It just went to Scarjo Dinosaur.
Yes! It was the Scarjo Dinosaur movie. Yeah, no Chris Pratt, no Bryce Dallas Howard, no any of that stuff. It was, I guess we'll start with that one. It was Scarjo is a arms dealer.
Sure.
And right, arms dealer. I'm asking like an audience that's not there, like arms dealer or something. She's just like not a good like bitch works for Raytheon pretty much. Like they don't say it, but you know she's that type of bitch. And it's like we gotta go to, what was it like? Oh, we have to collect the DNA samples. Go to the I almost said Tiger Island. Yep, that's how much I remember about this movie. Go to Dino Island and get literally a DNA sample of one land, one sea, and one air. No joke. Dino. And because of that dino DNA, it could do a whatever fucking thing. I don't remember what the plot was, but
that's not how those creatures are divided. Like,
yeah. So they're on like a ship, and then there's like a sea one going by, and then they shoot it, and it like a thing kind of like a taser thing lodges on like their scale or whatever. Boop, sucks up blood or whatever stuff, and then it just poop, just shoots up in the air, like, oh, just disengages, and then they have to be like, oh, it's in a parachute, can we catch it? What if it shoots like that way? Your ship is here and it's going, swimming, blah blah blah, blah, or it goes back down water and then it shoots up and then it doesn't actually shoot up because it's in the water. You're not thinking it through, movie makers, and then the air one, and you're boom, boom, and then the land one, boom, boom. And then after that, my brain just completely blanked out on what the fuck else happens in the movie. Because they also added, like, this family to it, where, like, this family, has a ship, and then the sea dinosaur wrecked it, and they have to get on ScarJo's boat and all that stuff, and it's like, because it's, like, the family, because it's, like, a teenage boy and then a young girl, and they got tug on the heartstrings where you're just like, dinosaurs, we just want dinosaurs, give us the fucking dinosaurs, get the dinosaurs, and I don't remember what else happened. Oh yeah, someone called her a Blackwater mercenary. That's what someone called. It's ScarJo's Blackwater mercenary takes a break from assassinating people in Yemen to do a dino mission for a pharma company that involves putting the 3 biggest dinos from land, sea, and air into a Pokeball so they can cure heart disease or something. Yes, that's what it... That's why they needed the dino DNA! Land, air, and sea, and we can cure all the diseases. Why? That doesn't make sense!
That's like going for a bat, a buffalo, and a dolphin. Those are all mammals. There's going to be some genetic variety, but there's more genetic variety, I feel like, with dinosaurs, because wouldn't there? I mean, maybe I'm dumb. Maybe I know nothing about dinosaurs, which is true. I actually know nothing about dinosaurs.
Right.
I had very different interests as a kid.
Right. The top rated comment on the Letterboxd thing says, I wonder if Steven Spielberg feels like the Oppenheimer stare of regret meme every time one of these movies come out. It's like, Alright, so Electric State, that was that Netflix sci-fi movie that had like Millie Bobby Brown in it.
Trixie and Katya reviewed that, right?
Yes, they were far too kind to it because everyone in the comments were like, how much did Netflix pay them to not be mean? They were not mean to it at all, not even remotely. And that's when people were like, oh, okay, yeah, like, y'all wouldn't even let our girls like talk shit about it,
I hope they got paid well.
Because it started off with them like going up to like, it's like them like walking into the studio. They're like, oh, what's this? And they were like, I'm a robot, Trixie, Katya. They're like, oh my god, the best porn acting they did. They were like, what? It was so great. I get it. Just cut the check. I'm not mad at them.
Anything against Millie Bobby Brown, because I actually don't have anything against her, but it's really weird seeing her play characters that are actually her age. Because I'll just see her and I'll be like, she's not 20. She's a 45-year-old mom now.
One of the top comments for Electric State is, it's kind of like if Ready Player One and E.T. had a baby with Chappie, but that baby was it Monstro Eliza Sue? Who's that? I know. Oh, that's the monster that the Elizabeth character turns into at the end of Substance.
Oh.
Where she's like, ah! And the blue dress! Ah!
Be kinder and you.
This one, like, because Millie Bobby Brown has blonde hair in this one, so she looks older. And they also, like, use way too much bronzer on her. Like, it was just, like, very, like, cut, like, not, I was a Trixie level of cut, but you could just tell, like, when there's, like, certain shots where you could tell they were, like, really packing into the hollow of her cheeks, just to kind of, like, one, give that, like, look, and two, just to be like, oh, she's not wearing makeup, like, this is just, she's natural, and I'm like, no, I see it, after that is Demon City. Now that one I just kind of stumbled upon. I think it was also on Netflix. It's some kind of like martial arts, kind of like almost like The Raid type movie, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I love like ultra violent whatever movie, even if the plot's stupid. Because, you know, the plot's kind of, what's a Raid's plot? I don't know. But boom, 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 fight, fight. You're like, oh shit, yeah, holy fuck, action, action, yeah, popcorn, popcorn, you know, like. But this one, I was like, so does like anything happen? There was like one like shot that was kind of cool, but they played it kind of like Iron Fist slow, where they're like, slice the throat, but not like a, but it was like a, you know what I mean? Like it kind of,
Oh.
you like I said, Iron Fist, like, you know, speed.
Like if you felt a little sick, yes, your throat would be cut. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was. We don't need to talk about that more. Right? Next is War of the Worlds. That's that Amazon Prime movie that Ice Cube did.
I saw other people reviewing it.
Oh my god! It's so bad. It was obviously a COVID movie, like obviously like a lockdown movie, because it's just like the entire movie is just him like this, like in front of the screen going, what? Click, 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 tappa, tappa, tappa. What? No! Oh, where are you? Screen, 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 screen. Oh my god! Where'd you go? Oh, where'd you? Click, click. Oh my god! That was literally the movie. Literally the movie. And it was a big ad for Amazon Prime. Like, the movie's already on Prime. But it was an ad for, like, the delivery service. Because, like, the Ice Cube's daughter in the movie, her boyfriend is a Prime, you know, driver and all that stuff. And it was, like, all this stuff where he's like, I'm delivering packages. He's got the vest. I'm delivering packages. You know, that kind of shit. And then there was one part where it was, like, oh, I could send you the USB, but you gotta make this order to activate the drone for me to send it to you.
Like a USB stick?
Yes.
Like a wand?
Yes. He's like, I can't just send it to you. You have to activate the purchase so it could be sent to you. Pretty much Ice Cube just, like, in a sense, stalking his own kid, because he's like, oh, I'm in the government, like the kind of Neil Breen, I'm in the government type of thing, and I can hack into the most secret of secret type of shit, where he's like, oh, I could find you on any camera, and da-da-da, and, like, the cameras will tell that, like, oh, his daughter hasn't eaten enough yet or something, and he'll, like call her and be like, oh, like, that thing you picked up at the cafe, da-da-da. And she'll, like, look around and see the camera and be like, Dad, like, what the fuck? He goes, you know what I do for a living. Helicopter parenting in your 30s, like, what the fuck? So once again, the recording cut off or something happened every time I do this. Whether best of worst, something happens, I don't know. We were talking for like 3 hours and only an hour recorded. So next on the list is Working Man, which is the Jason Statham movie. And that movie, you know, he is a working man and he works like at construction for this family or whatever fuck. Pretty much it's like he's like, oh, ex, like, you know, British army, blah 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 blah, and then he could just fight because he's Statham, and every year in February a new Statham movie drops, because I think there's some fucking movie now they like that just like is about to drop or recently dropped or something, and it's another Statham thing of something and protecting the people. I think I've got to kill Jason Statham, you know. But nothing kills me more than when people on Tumblr found out that he was in like a music video, just like oiled up in like a leopard banana hammock, just doing like a weird dance, you know. So anyway, Statham, another Statham movie, and sadly it didn't get recorded, but it was very funny because Masami assumed, because it's called Working Man, that it was a movie about Jason Statham, because I mentioned Jason Statham, that she assumed it was a movie about Jason Statham being a prostitute, which, you know, it was fucking hilarious. And then we went on about how, in a sense, we would be kind of like sister channels. Like if she started a YouTube channel, and it like me, I just do my reviews and all that stuff. But her, she'll review movies but have never watched the movie, and all it is that she just makes an assumption from the title and then like a some type of context clue. So here it's like the title's called Working Man and Jason Statham's in it. So her thing was he's a librarian, and but he's a sexy lady librarian. For some reason, he's a woman, but he doesn't have a wig on or anything. But he's got like the librarian glasses, as Masami said, you know. But then he comes out of the library and goes to his corner. This are her words, but he's got kicking heels, and all that stuff, and then just trying to be like buying, buying a selling, boy, wholesale retail. I don't know, And then she said she would add like detail things because she was really, really like zeroing on like the type of heels he would have been wearing. So we had a great laugh with that one. So it sucks you guys couldn't hear that part. After that, to end action and sci-fi, is Den of Thieves 2, which, again, Masami was asking, what did the den look like? She wanted to know what the den, which is, in her mind, a room, what the den looked like. And I was like, no. And I told her, like, Den of Thieves, kind of like, a murder of crows type of stuff. It's just a saying. And so I kind of gave her like a quick gist of what the first movie was and how that movie and Hurricane Heist came out around the same time and had very similar plots. And then we talked about how in the 90s, a lot of like that kind of similar shit came out. It was like Deep Impact, Armageddon, Dante's Peak, Volcano. You know what I mean? Like that stuff happening. So we were just kind of talking about that, and then I explained to her the plot of the second movie, which is just, Gerard Butler just being drunk and existing in Ice Cube's son. What was it? He was like pretending to be British or something, because it's like, because a bajillion years ago when the first one came out, like the sequel bait at the end, he's like, oh, I run this British pub, hello, like, okay. Sure, bro. And so, yeah, so the second movie is just, it's awful. And then on my letterbox, I had like gone off about how it was like, I think it was like 2.5 hours long or something. Like, it was like way too long, way more than it needed to be. I wrote 95 minutes in and I'm so bored. The heist was ass. This was ass. The heist didn't happen until the third act. And once the heist happened, it wasn't even like exciting. Like, once I realized, like, oh man, the heist is gonna happen, like, I paused the movie and went back to it like the next day, because one, I was like, all right, I gotta go to bed, I gotta go to work, I'm like, this is not one of those movies where it's like, no, I'm gonna watch, I need to watch. No, I was like, I'm not ruining my fucking sleep schedule. I mean, groggy at the workplace, because I was just like, fucking Ice Cube's kid, no, we're not doing that. But yeah, so then the final category is horror, which, none of these are great, and again, Masami hadn't seen any of them, so it was pretty much just her, just listening to me babble on like a crazy person as always, and just being like, huh, So in there, we have Woman in the Yard, Fear Street Prom Queen, I Know What You Did Last Summer, Megan 2.0, Boneface, Hell House LLC Lineage, The Strangers Chapter 2, Scream Boat, and Brute 1976. So with Woman in the Yard, it was a great concept. A very great concept, because like what drew me in was just, like the quick image of, kids looking outside the window and then being like, Mom, who's that? And there's a woman in the yard. Like, okay, cool, straight to the point. And you're like, okay, that's creepy, because it's like a person like in a Victorian mourning gown, veil and everything, just like sitting there or whatever, and you're like, okay, that's creepy, I'm drawn in. So then I watched the movie and you're like, okay, it seems like there's a tragedy. The woman moves the kids, into this home in the middle of nowhere, like they got a barn, like they're like, away from here, they're not like suburbia, And so then one day, a woman in the yard shows up, and then as
time progresses, she gets closer and closer. It's kind of spooky. She even approaches the woman like, "Yo, bitch, what the hell are you doing?" It's like, and you're like, okay. But the thing where it just falls flat is that you kind of figured out like where the movie was going, and I've said this 1,000 times. Sometimes when you can figure out where it's going, and it does end up going there, you're just like, yeah, it was fucking great because it's the whole like it's not the destination, it's the journey type of thing. But then there's times where you can figure out where it's going, and then it kind of just like, well, like it kind of like knew where it wanted the twist or whatever stuff, but like in between they were just like, I don't know how we're gonna get there, but I kind of want to make it like want that to be the bit. Okay, we're there. Huh? Like Shyamalan, like what the twist? Like we did it, and it's like, nah, man, like great. So pretty much like, and I kind of went off about how like ever since Hereditary came out, and I've said this a bunch of times, ever since Hereditary came out, every movie wants to have like that kind of hereditary thing, literally, like not just hereditary thing as in the movie Hereditary, but like as in things are hereditary kind of stuff. So this is like, and also with the whole trauma with horror and about coping and moving on, and again, that stuff has been done prior to that, but because of the success of that movie, there has been way more. Because before you would get that kind of like trauma, like I manifested my own, like my trauma I caused to manifest my own, thing. And usually that tends to be like a haunted house kind of movie or like a weird ghost movie that doesn't make sense. But you're still kind of along for the ride. You're like, oh, okay, that was kind of weird. But this is like, fuck. So pretty much like the woman in the yard is the main woman in the movie, because of you learn again that her husband died because something tragic. It's been a while. I don't remember. It was like early in the year, so I don't remember. Um, and so because of that, and her like moving the kids away, and her trying to was it the different stages of grief and moving on and did all that stuff and manifest into the woman in the yard, and then you kind of see how like it becomes like the perspective of from the woman in the yard, i.e. herself, and the reason why she like it just went when she approaches because she couldn't move and she couldn't speak and she's like trying to be like, it's me, like I'm you or whatever shit, but it's like only that could come out, and like the idea of it's like okay, and it's like the whole like you have to move on from your tragedy, you can't like all right, fine, all right, yeah. After that is Fear Street, Prom Queen, and I didn't even, be honest, I had no idea they put out another Fear Street movie. I think one day I was just like on Netflix and I was like, what? I was like, what? Looked it up and I'm like, oh, okay, that just came. All right, I'll add that, I'll watch it later. And then I watched it and I was like, it's not good, obviously, because it's on the worst list. And I feel like probably because those three, the trilogy that they came out were very good, and the stories, like interweaved and all that stuff, and there was all this other like, there's characters who were, pretty much in like all three movies, and they played different, like it all worked out. And I think the issue is probably, it sounds crazy, but because they did so well, people had high expectations. So then when they did this one, which kind of funny enough, just felt like one of the books, because it just, like Fear Street, I probably mentioned this when I did my Fear Street review years ago, but Fear Street is, like the more teenager, we call it the older sister books of, Goosebumps. It's the same writer. And it's funny because I probably mentioned this before. When this Fear Street shit came out, I remember like I had a lot of childhood books in my basement, and there's like I saw like my Goosebumps, and then the shelf above was like my sister's books, and there was Fear Street there, and I'm like, oh my god, fucking hilarious, right? And so the Prom Queen one, like again, it's not good, but it kind of like fit that like, oh my god, like if you think about it being written like in the 90s, and it's kind of like cheesy, and you're like prom, like that kind of stuff. But we're in the year of our Lord, 2026, and of course at the time it was 2025 when it came out. There's been so many fucking prom movies that obviously Carrie. I mean that came out way before, but I mean like in the 80s, like we had fucking Carrie, like what's up? is it called Prom Queen or Prom Date, whatever one, the one that Prom Night, you know, and then they had, was it Mary Lou, Prom 2, Electric Boots, you know, so that also existed. You know, like, we have more of that, you know, we even have people that parody all of them, you know, like, so it's kind of like, you know, like, it didn't, there wasn't anything added to it, and then, like, when, again, like, the reveal of the killer, you're like, wow, the killer is, like, the only, like, well-known actor you know in the entire cast? Come on. And the actor used to be in teen movies like American Pie. God, I would never have guessed that was the killer. Come on. Again, I was just waiting for them to tell me. I was like, is it him? It's him. Okay. After that is the Legacy, I Know What You Did Last Summer movie. You know, I love that in the trailer they had to make sure you knew that Jennifer Love Hewitt was going to be in it, so you're like, that's fine. And then you watch it, like, okay, cool, Freddie Prinze Jr. is in it, alright, fine. And then there was like a dream sequence, flashback, whatever, hallucination scene where Sarah Michelle Gellar makes a cameo, but they, like, season 1 Drag Race filter her because, like, again, Sarah Michelle Gellar is not old, nor is she ugly, but she was very young at the time because she was doing Buffy. She was like, what, in her 20s, 19? Like, she was very young. So I get it, you know? Like, now she's just like, oh, she's an older woman, but I get it. You have to, like, do something to, like, make yourself look like you're in high school and getting all taut and all that shit. I mean, fine, whatever. Again, you know, Vaseline over the lens type shit. I mean, whatever. And then, like, the movie was kind of predictable because then you're like, oh man, the killer all along was Freddie Prinze Jr. And you're like, wow, I wouldn't have guessed. And his accomplice was the weird girl in the group of friends. Like, again, if you think about it, we're like, well, if he's Ryan Phillippe's character and she's Jennifer Love Hewitt's character and he's Freddie Prinze Jr.'s character and you're Sarah Michelle Gellar's character, why is there a fifth person? There wasn't a fifth person in the original one, and then it's like, oh, well, none of you cared about me when I was going through rehab, and it's like, there we go. Wow, not surprised. And again, another movie where you're just, like, waiting for it to get to that part, to be like, yep, I fucking knew it. Moving on. After that was Megan 2. There's not much to say about it. It's just, yeah, you know, alright. After that was Boneface. I don't know how I came upon this fucking movie, but I did. It's on, like, Tubi, so maybe that's why. And I don't remember what happens. I think, like, the plot synopsis of the movie, it says, when a mass killer slaughters several campers in a small town, a sheriff and deputy track the murderer to a local diner where, using their investigative skills, they must discover which person in the diner is the actual killer. First of all, that's a very, like, ChatGPT AI written, like, synopsis, you know? Even if it's not, sorry, man, that just sounds like it. But second of all, I was watching it, I was just like, I think this was like, what, like 90 minutes long? It felt forever watching it. I don't remember really what happened in it. It's a bottle movie. It's just in a diner. People are yelling at each other. You know, splash, splash, blood, blood, whatever. Someone wears a mask with bones on it, bone face. I don't know. I don't even remember if, like, it was revealed who was the killer in the... I don't even remember. I wrote on Letterboxd, is it a slasher movie or is it a mystery thriller or is it a fucking waste of my time? It's literally how I felt. The movie ended and I was just like, and I don't remember much of what the movie, like, what happened. Apparently, I watched it, like, in October, like, right before Comic-Con or right after New York Comic-Con. And it's like, I would watch it, and then I would have to, like, rewind a little, because I'm like, wait, maybe I missed something. But it just kept happening, and I was like, no, it's not me missing something or not paying attention. It's just not making any sense, you know? And sometimes when movies get so, like, convoluted like that, and then I'm just like, fuck it, we'll ride till dawn, I'm just gonna watch it, I'm not gonna keep trying to make sense of it. I even go and, like, open a Wikipedia and, like, read the plot synopsis, like, in case there's, like, some weird hidden thing where, like, oh, the camera lingered on a fork for 2 seconds, and I didn't, I didn't do the English class thing, the blue curtains aren't just blue type of shit, no. And I'm like, I still don't anyway, Boneface. After that was Hell House LLC Lineage, and this is the 5th installment. I have to think for a second. The franchise, and it's again it's not good, honey. It's not. Mind you, the other movies, everything is found footage. Like the whole point of it being like, holy fuck, it's like it's found footage. You know, security cams, handheld, all that crazy shit, right? A lot of like, you know, in camera stuff where like, oh, you know, like let's say it's like my hand is a person and they go in front and like I'm a statue and I'm like this and then they walk away and all of a sudden like, you know, like they move and then now they're like this. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a lot of that like oh kind of stuff. But this one like it didn't have that, so immediately when I put it on I'm like, oh, this isn't found footage. Oof. Also, it kind of couldn't be found footage because like the returning character um like goes to therapy a lot, which is nothing wrong with going to therapy, but you know you can't really be recording. I mean, I guess you can record your own stuff. You're just I guess you're violating your own HIPAA. I guess I mean you decide to release it, but you know what I mean. I guess like they wanted like a different way. I don't know of like showing it, but also her therapist. Someone on Letterboxd said like every time the therapist opened her mouth, she violated HIPAA because like the girl would show up, she's like, oh, why did I see like Todd or whatever, the guy, and she's like, oh yeah, he's one of my patients, he's been seeing me for years. It's like, bitch. You know, like what are you doing, man, what are you doing? Yeah, so it wasn't good, and then like it also tried to like it kind of member berries a little because it would do things like, oh, do you remember this thing that we're referencing that from like movie 2? You know, this is the woman, the returning character. I think she's from the second movie. You know, it just wasn't good. It just like I don't know. I hopefully this is. I think they said this is the last one, and I really hope it's true because we don't like it did what it needed to do. It said what it needed to say. You know. I also wrote down on Letterboxd. I said I deadass started to doze off when that other lady came in and started giving exposition. Yeah, because that was another thing. Like a lot of scenes were just like I said with the therapy scene and stuff. It's just characters just talk. Like again, it's like movie. Just show me, don't tell me. Like something. Especially now when you're doing it in a non-found footage way, and you know I think they showed like they did like flashbacks and stuff, and it's like then show. The next is The Strangers Chapter 2, and fuck it, you know. Chapter 1 was ass, you know, it's just them trying to look for the girl because she escaped last time, you know, and I don't remember how it ended, but sure, why not? I think, like, it on Letterboxd, it's like, it says it's slated to have a third chapter, you know. I wrote on Letterboxd, she got revenanted by a wild boar, and when I was telling Masami this, I had noticed that a lot of the reviews were pointing out the boar just in general, like it's bad CGI, and then to the like Revenant, like we were all making like the same joke, like how the fuck is the boar thing the main thing people took away from this movie, and not the fact that it's like, you know, a reboot of a previous thing, of a rethought of a whatever, and it's home you know what I mean? It's like nope, wild boar. After that, it's Screamboat, which is the movie that was advertised pretty much like the day, like New Year's Day or something, or like when the copyright the public, it became public domain for Steamboat Willie. They were just like, oh, he's coming to New York or something, and the one I watched last year was obviously something they just slapped together real quick because and then this one, like it was a better budget. The costume for whatever the mouse was great, you know. It takes place in New York randomly for some reason. They were able to like what was it? I read that like they were able to film it on the Staten Island ferry because it wasn't like a actual Staten Island. Like it belonged to someone who bought a decommissioned like Staten Island ferry boat or something. I don't know. It was like some weird shit like that. And Masami had asked if it was actually filmed in New York, if it was one of those things where it's like, we're in Canada, or like, we're in Canada, it's the CN Towers right there, like New York kind of thing. No, it was actually in New York. Yeah, it wasn't good. I don't remember what the fucking uh plot of it was, but what I wrote on fucking, Letterbox was just gave it a half star, and I wrote severed penis. And then Masami asked me, "Whoa, what happened?" Because when I was explaining to her, like, and I was reading other reviews, she's like, "Wait, you're the only one mentioning a severed penis. What the fuck else, happened?" And I went, "I don't remember. I don't know her. It's obviously it's not good. It's I get it. You want to just like grab onto a public domain thing that Disney owned. I get it, and then make it horror and all that stuff. But Jesus, like I don't know, do better. Because even with the second Winnie the Pooh one, like obviously the budget was better, the masks were better. The things you could just tell like okay there was a little bit more money this time. But I don't just like okay besides the visual aspect with special effects or whatever, like I don't know, like write an actual story. Like don't just take the thing and be like, right, this is the like like in the early 2000s when they like went ham with all the parody movies, and it just like got really stale real quick because instead of doing like good parody satire shit like like Edgar Wright did with like Hot Fuzz or Shaun of the Dead or something like that, instead it became like a right? Right? And that gets so like that's so like bottom of the barrel, lowest common denominator bullshit of like this is funny or like right, you get it, it's the thing we're pointing at. But spooky and it girl no. So the last one on the list and forever is called Brute 1976. What does it say? Someone here on Letterbox was like, "Oh, it really tries to be Texas Chainsaw Massacre a lot. It's trying to give that again. It says 1976, trying to give like that kind of that type of late 70s, early 80s like horror, spooky ooky, Hills Have Eyes type of shit. It's not good. I was so fucking bored watching it, and this movie also has a severed penis, but this one has it censored. Like, and it's like, why do you have it like literally like a dick goes into a freaking glory hole, but it's like black bar. Like, what was the point of doing that? Like what's random standards and practices did you have to go through? I don't, like in the age of like, oh, these are unrated movies type of stuff that gets put on streaming services. Because I saw this on Tubi, like, okay. Someone says on Letterboxd that the Blu-ray doesn't censor uh, the dick, but apparently, whatever the prosthetic is and all the makeup and blood still doesn't make the movie good. It's like, of course not. It's like what I said about Screamboat, like and like this stuff. It's like, okay, you got the visuals, they're not bad, like do better, story writing, probably have people better acting than just young pretty people. And I get it. This movie was trying to pull that whole like we're young and pretty and we're all on a road trip in this van. What do we do? Oh my god, we're dying! And again, it's like it's the thing. And, oh god. But yeah, so that's the worst movies of 2025. The best of will be great. We'll be having a great time.